you very much. Good morning, colleagues, and good morning, everyone, and welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting for Wednesday, May 25th of 2022. Dr. Campos?
Good morning, everyone. Fernando Campos, Executive Officer, establishing roll call and quorum for today. We have President Garcia, Vice President Villegas, President Pro Tem Davis, and Commissioners Corzan and Reyes. President Garcia, you do have a quorum. Currently, at this time, we do not have any callers on the line for general public comment. We also do not have any commentary under the Neighborhood Council comment section. And again, no public comments for any of the items for today's agenda as well.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Campos. Public comment is officially now closed. Moving on to the first item of business today, this is the approval of the minutes for Wednesday, May 11, 2022. Is there a second to my motion to move this item forward?
I'll second.
Thank you. I'm going to take it from Vice President Villegas. I love the passion. All right. Love her starting us in a good place. All right. Dr. Campos, we have a first by me and a second by Vice President Villegas to move the approval of the minutes forward and forthwith.
So we'll start the voting tabulation now. We'll start with you, Madam President.
Aye.
Vice President Villegas.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Davis, aye.
Commissioner Corzan.
Aye.
And Commissioner Reyes.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. Moving on forward to the first agenda item on the agenda, which is a bids received at 10 a.m. for the following public works projects. This is for the Bayona, I'm probably saying it wrong, Bayona Creek Water Quality Improvement CIP J598 and Sepulveda Channel Low Flow Treatment Facility CIP J925 with a work order of S33WLFT1, S33WLFT2, estimate of $55,233,000 in Council District 11. Dr. Campos, I take it you have the bids there.
Good morning, President Garcia and fellow commissioners. Thank you, Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. As indicated, we will open up two bids for today. We'll go ahead and start for the first project, which is for the Bayona Creek Water Quality Improvement. This is estimated by the city engineer as $55,233,000 even. We'll go ahead and start the bids opening. We did receive two bids for that project. And for the record, I am joined by Mr. Castellanos in my office opening up the bids.
We don't see Mr. Castellanos. Just kidding.
Castellanos,
Just kidding.
say hello.
All right, good.
I can't do this alone.
I know.
The first bid, again, for this project is from Kiewit Infrastructure West Company for a total bid amount of $70,437,000 even. That's 70437,000 from Kiewit Infrastructure West Company. Second and final bid received for the first project is from Walsh Construction Company, LLC, for a total bid amount of $72,388,599. That's $72,388,599 from Walsh Construction Company, LLC.
Dr. Campos, I need to read the second bid into the record.
Yes, we can.
Okay, give me 1 second.
And President Garcia, that does conclude the bid openings for the first project.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. Thank you. Okay, the second bid for today is the Westlake MacArthur Pedestrian Improvement Project, federal project number CML-5006841, with a work order of E1908032, and an estimate of $1,048,523. This is in Council District 1.
Thank you, President Garcia, for reading that into the record. We'll go ahead and start the bid openings for the second project. We did receive 4 bids for the second project. First bid for the second project is from CS Legacy Construction Incorporated for a total bid amount of $1,145,103.24. That's 1145103.24 from CS Legacy Construction Incorporated. The second bid received for the second project is from Carbon Activated Corporation for a total bid amount of $1,208,276.33. That is 1208276.33 from Carbon Activated Corporation. The next bid, bid number 3 for the second project, is from Access Pacific Incorporated for a total bid amount of $1,692,770.40. That is 1692770.40 from Access Pacific Incorporated. The last and final bid, the fourth bid received for the second project, is from HZS Engineering, doing business as HZS Construction, for a total bid amount of $1,377,467 even. That's 1377467 from HZS Construction. For the record, line item number 36 and the total bid amount have been both whited out. I will read those numbers into the record, and both lines were not initialed by the contractor. Line item 36, again, whited out, or the use of whiteout was used, and that number is $108,800 even, 108,800, and again, the total bid amount is $1,377,467 even. Again, the use of whiteout was used in this bid, and no initials were done on this total bid. President Garcia, that does conclude the bid openings for the second project and all bids for today's agenda as well.
Great. Thank you so much, Dr. Campos. Just remind me, do we need to take any type of action?
Yes, there will be a motion to open, receive, and declare these bids.
Got it.
Required.
Okay, is there a motion to open and receive the current bids as stated by Dr. Campos on today's agenda?
So moved.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Davis. And I think I heard Commissioner Reyes. We got you. All right. Was that a yes, Commissioner Reyes?
Yes.
Okay, got it. Dr. Campos, we have a first by Dr. Davis and a second by Commissioner Reyes to move item number 1 forward and open and receive and move it forward as well.
Great. Forthwith as well?
Forthwith, yes.
Thank you, President Garcia. We'll go ahead and start the voting tabulation, and we'll start with you, President Garcia.
Aye.
Vice President Villegas.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Davis, aye.
Commissioner Corzan.
Aye.
And Commissioner Reyes.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Campos, and thank you, Mr. Castellanos, for your time as well, opening and receiving the bids. Thank you. I also want to say we have Tania Seguri from the City Attorney's Office joining us today. Hi, Tania. Good morning. And our attorney for today. All right, colleagues, moving on to item number 2. This is from the Bureau of Engineering. This is in Council District 11. This is a sole source task order solicitation to Somas and Associates, pre-qualified on-call civil engineering services consultant list for the Lincoln Bridge Multimodal Improvement Project, recommending the board to 1, authorize the city engineer to issue a sole source task order to Somas and Associates from the pre-qualified on-call civil engineering service consultant list to complete the project report and environmental documentation tasks for the Lincoln Bridge Multimodal Improvement Project in the amount of $566,556. And we have Mr. Guerrero here from the Department of Transportation joining us and doing today's presentation. Good morning, Mr. Guerrero. Nice to see you again.
Good morning.
You're welcome to start whenever you're ready.
Okay. Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to meet with you this morning. As introduced, my name is Eddie Guerrero. I'm a senior engineer overseeing the Central City and West LA offices of the Planning and Development Review Division at DOT. And our primary function there is to help development projects complete their traffic element of their environmental reviews, as well as infrastructure projects such as this one before you today. If you're not familiar with the location, the Lincoln Boulevard is really kind of the last north-south major arterial that parallels the coastline and connects Santa Monica down to LAX. And this bridge is approximately 2 miles north of LAX and immediately adjacent to the Marina Del Rey area. This specific area of this project was actually a focus of attention back in the late 90s and early 2000s when the LAX master plan was going through a major master plan update, and the very large residential retail project development over at Playa Vista was underway, as well as the long-range transportation plan for the marina. And so based on the forecasted demands of all of those projects, naturally there was a obvious need for increasing the capacity of the bridge itself. Since then, obviously, this project is still underway, and most of those projects are through fruition, so naturally getting this project completed is more imperative than ever at this point. So under the previous initiative, though, what the project was looking at was actually to construct an entirely new bridge adjacent to the existing one, which would have, in effect, doubled the footprint into the Bayona Creek, which naturally was not a favorable design that the Coastal Commission would look at. So we went back to the drawing board, and since then, obviously, the city has passed a new Mobility 35 transportation element of the city general plan, as well as SB 743, which was passed by the state back in 2013. And both of those initiatives have the focus of not only reducing vehicle miles traveled to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, but to also make sure that the concerted efforts put forward to make sure all modes of transportation are addressed, particularly in the development of new infrastructure projects. And so what this project does, it specifically addresses those directives. Under this new project, there would be a design width that would allow for the operation of rapid bus as well as light rail transit operations, and it would also facilitate pedestrian and bicycle connections that currently don't exist on the bridge. And additionally, with the advancement of new bridge construction practices, with this new steel frame construction, the project will actually be able to reduce its footprint into the creek, hopefully if no other design considerations are needed down the road. But at this point, it looks like with the new footprint of the proposed project, the footprint intrusion into the creek would actually be less than it currently is now. So where that brings us to at this point, this specific iteration of the project was initiated back in 2016. Again, it's in the Bayona wetlands area, so there are a number of agencies that we have to coordinate with. First, our sister agency, Caltrans, who is the primary custody jurisdiction over the roadway because Lincoln is the state highway. And then again, because of the Bayona Creek and the bridge crossing it, we have to do close coordination with the Coastal Commission, with the California Department of Fish and Wildlife, as well as the Bayona Creek Restoration Project, and who else? Well, those are the four main ones. And so, again, with all of those coordinations happening, there's a significant amount of time in terms of making sure we properly identify what reports each of those agencies expect to see upon completion of the environmental work, particularly in regard to getting additional funding down the road for construction. We want to make sure that all the environmental work encompasses all the requirements that would make the city eligible for not only state funding, but for federal funding as well. And so that's what kind of brings us before you today. We're approximately 70% completed with the environmental work, but in order to be eligible for the new Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act money that will be coming available this fiscal year, we need to complete the environmental work as quickly as we can, hopefully within the end of the calendar year, so we can be in a good position to apply for those funds, because those funds require you to be substantially complete with your environmental work before you can apply. So that's the urgency which brings us before you today for the request for sole source. And obviously, with all the coordination work that has gone into the project thus far, would be very difficult to transfer all of that knowledge to a new contract, as well as all of the other awareness that goes along with the project in order to get it completed as quickly as possible. So again, that's why we're here before you today to ask for approval of the sole source request, so that we can finish that environmental work as quickly as possible, and again put us in the best position to apply for. We know there's going to be substantial funding needed to complete the next phase, which is obviously the construction and design construction phase. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. If there's anything I missed, I'm happy to answer any questions at this time.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Guerrero. I appreciate your thorough report on that as well. Let me see if commissioners have any questions for you. Any questions?
I just have some basic informational questions. Mr. Guerrero, I wanted to ask in terms of time. You've mentioned that we want to expedite the completion of the preliminary work so that we can move forward with the work that needs to be done on the project. Could you tell me how much time you anticipate it will take for the preliminary work to be done? And secondly, how long do you think the process will take us in terms of the implementation of the main project?
Well, this particular phase of the project is documentation of all of the environmental work. So the original schedule, I think I mentioned we actually started this project back in 2016, and we were hoping to have all of this environmental documentation work completed within 3 years. But unfortunately, when you're dealing with multiple agencies, like I mentioned, that schedule can easily become extended, which in this case it did. And,
Sure.
And it ended up pushing us obviously into the COVID conditions, which made coordination even more difficult.
Mm-hmm.
But what we're trying to achieve now under this phase of the project is just specifically to complete the documentation of environmental, because without the completion of that work, you can't even apply for design and construction funds.
Sure.
So our intention is, again, to hopefully complete this environmental work within, if not this calendar year, early next year, so that we can still be eligible to apply for infrastructure dollars. And those dollars we'd be applying for then would be for design and construction. And that, we're hoping to be able to start that as early as 2025. And if you're familiar with any of the Measure M target projects, one of the target projects in Measure M is Lincoln BRT. And obviously, in order for that project to happen, this project has to happen first. It can happen without it, but it's going to be significantly impacted if this project doesn't happen to provide the full accommodation that we're trying to achieve with the widening of the bridge itself. So there are other projects that are linked to this one that are in the pipeline that have targeted funds for them, but they probably won't be looked on favorably if this project isn't able to pursue funding as well in conjunction, because this is a bottleneck between the north and south across the creek. And so without being able to expand this bottleneck, it's going to be looked on a little bit less favorably to look at funding all of these other projects that are directly connected to this bridge. So that's why we want to make sure that we complete this environmental work so that we can apply for those construction dollars as early as possible. The first opportunity being the Infrastructure Investment Act.
And how much did you say the cost of that completion is?
Well, the current estimate for constructing the bridge has been estimated, the rough estimate is $35 million. But again, because this is a sensitive environmental area, I think you can all appreciate that we'll probably be looking at increases depending on as is typical, once you start civil engineering work, you start to uncover certain soil conditions that may require additional attention. It's hard to tell. So I wouldn't be surprised if that dollar amount went up. But at this juncture, we're looking at 35 based on a preliminary estimate of like 25. So we're hoping we're not too far off the mark. Somewhere.
Are there any other funding sources that become available for us in terms of taking care of the fiscal responsibility we have to pay for this?
Yeah. Congresswoman Maxine Waters did identify some other funding potentially that could be used for construction. I'm not recalling the specific pot of money that she had mentioned, but she did work with Councilman Bonin to provide a $10 million earmark for that construction money.
Wonderful.
So we're looking at multiple pots because we know this is going to be a substantial, obviously, infrastructure investment.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that information.
Absolutely.
Great. Thank you so much, Dr. Davis. Commissioner Reyes, you had your hand up.
My question is pretty much along the line of Commissioner Davis in terms of, the timetable. My question, Eddie, is did we put enough cushion on our timetable so that we're able to pivot or be flexible enough, because things happen, you know, when these contracts are implemented. So that's just my question. Do we have enough cushion, and what does that look like?
Well, unfortunately, I don't think we have much latitude in terms of that specific issue, because the reality is that with those IIJ P monies becoming available this next fiscal year, either we have this environmental work ready to a level that's acceptable to apply, or we don't. And so I'm not exactly sure if there are phases for the IIJP dollars in terms of, you know, what they would be allocating in the first fiscal year and fiscal years after that. But obviously, since we've completed 70% of the environmental work so far, we're hoping that will be good enough justification to still apply, even if we aren't finished when they open the applications. But that's kind of a determination that will make for us, right? They'll say, well, we would prefer that it was 90% complete. We don't really know, but that's why we're kind of in earnest trying to go ahead and move forward and get as much work as we can done so that we can at least be in consideration for applying for that money. If we're unable to do so based on their guidance, then we won't have much options. We'll just have to apply for a future phase.
So there's really no certainty, but we could monitor, right, and track it very closely with regards to requirements, you know, timing of applications for the infrastructure grants.
Right. Well, I mean, in terms of the coordination that I mentioned previously, we've had several meetings with obviously staff from Councilman Bona's office and the agencies that we can hopefully push along in terms of sometimes when we work with our sister agencies at Caltrans or the Coastal Commission, it can take time to coordinate their staff on their side. But we're hoping, based on the coordination that we've completed up to this point, that we can kind of shrink some of that review period. That will help us make sure that we're able to, again, complete as much of this work as we can once the IAJP starts accepting applications for funding. That's
right.
kind of where we're at.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Reyes. Any other questions, colleagues? Hearing none. Okay, is there a motion to move item number 2 forward?
So moved.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Is there a second for this item?
A second.
Thank you, Commissioner Reyes. Dr. Campos, we have a first by Dr. Davis and a second by Commissioner Reyes to move item number 2 forward and forthwith.
Absolutely. We'll start the voting tabulation, and we'll start with you, President Garcia.
Aye.
Vice President Villegas.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Davis, aye.
Commissioner Corzan.
Aye.
And Commissioner Reyes.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Campos. All right, Mr. Guerrero, you're on your way for your second phase of this huge project you have going on.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. Yes, I appreciate it.
Appreciate you too. Have a good rest of the day. Thank you.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, colleagues, moving on forward to item number 3. This is in all council districts from the Bureau of Street Services. This is a contract renewal for 1-year option and change order number 1 for Creative Paving Solutions, LLC, Next Phase Neighborhood Cooling Projects. Recommending the board to 1, exercise the city's 1-year option to renew the subject contract with Creative Paving Solutions, LLC for $4 million. And 2, approve, well, there's more than 2. Approve and change order number 1 for Creative Paving Solutions to continue to apply GAF DuraShield cool pavement coating to 4 million square feet of city blocks in various council districts at a reduced cost of 25% from 98 cents per square foot to 73 cents per square foot. With the cost reduction, an additional 1.36 million square feet of city blocks will be coated, totaling 5.36 million square feet. The overall cost will remain at $4 million. 3, instruct the executive officer of the board to immediately advise Creative Paving Solutions to submit their bonds and insurance documents within 5 working days after the date of the notification of the award of this contract by the board. And 4, instruct the executive officer of the board to immediately advise creative paving solutions that work on this project must start within 5 working days from the date of issuance the notice to proceed. All right, Mr. Shaw, we have you here on this item. Seems very instructive and directive, but I like the reduction in cost from the 25% of the 98 cents to 73 cents. So perhaps maybe you can talk about that a little bit, and also really specific instructions you're giving us here. All right, Mr. Craig Shaw, go ahead. We're ready for you.
Well, good morning, commissioners, and Bureau Representatives, Executive Officer, and City Attorney. For those who don't know me, my name is Craig Shaw. I'm a General Superintendent 2 with the Streets LA, and I'm also one of the Bureau's technical experts when it comes to coatings. I've been doing this for about 1.5 decades of experience of putting applications of these coatings on city streets. This year, the Mayor and City Council has funded the next phase neighborhood cooling projects by including $4 million in our 22-23 budget. And so we're requesting that this board exercise the city's one-year option to renew the subject contract with Creative Paving Solutions, LLC for $4 million. Now, as many of you are aware, Streets LA, in partnership with Creative Paving, installed, as noted, 4 million square feet of cool coatings on our city streets. This represented 216 city blocks and 8 underserved neighborhood councils. Now, the option year comes with a 25% reduction in cost from 98 cents to 73 cents, which will allow us to coat more than 1.3 million additional square feet of streets, which is equivalent to about 50 city blocks. Now, initially, when we were looking at other cities that did this type of product, they were getting it by hand install at $2.50 a square foot, and we were able to drive it down last year to 98 cents a square foot, and now under this new contract, if granted, 73 cents a square foot. So we're moving in the right direction, particularly as these products are being used more and more by government agencies. Now, we experienced a lot of different successes in this year's program. One, we finished the program 1 month earlier than anticipated, starting in September 2021 and finishing in May of 2022. And this was largely due to Creative Paving being a master applicator of the GF DuraShield product, and also their commitment to innovation. They actually commissioned 2 vehicles, custom vehicles, to apply this by machine, whereas it was being done by hand prior. This actually allowed us to install in the month of March alone 1 million square feet of cool ceilings. We've also received support from and enthusiasm from the community that have received the application, not only because of the cooling benefits of the coatings and the aesthetic appearance of the product, but they also, we're improving the tree equity in these communities by planting trees on every single one of our projects. During this process, we've actually planted 1,300 trees on the 216 segments, and with an additional 500 more to be installed on those very same segments or blocks. We've also had support from many of the elected officials. 2 state legislators and members of Congress have shown interest in our products and also have visited our projects. Some other notable events that we've experienced is NASA, using the thermal camera on the International Space Station, evaluated our Winnetka neighborhood project and actually confirmed the cooling benefits from space on these projects. And so we're looking forward to expanding this partnership. Now, some may say, well, how do you choose the streets? Well, we know that we use a data-driven approach to when it comes to choosing these projects, led by our civil engineer, Mara Lovano. And she used the data regarding urban heat, tree canopy, socioeconomic indicators. And she used 3 mapping tools to do this: the Trust for Public Land Climate Smart Cities tool, the Google Tree Canopy tool, and the Tree Equity tool. And once the projects are chosen, then the individual streets are inspected to identify, to make sure that they meet the technical criteria for cool pavements and tree planting. In our next phase, we've identified the following neighborhoods: Wilmington, Westchester Playa, Palms, Koreatown, East Hollywood, North Hollywood West, Lake Balboa, and North Hills West, and Reseda. So those are the next neighborhoods that we're going to be placing these materials on. Now, one of the things we do know that this is a very, very growing community of experts as they're developing their products. And we know that as new products are coming to market, we believe at this time next year that there will be an open and competitive bid for this type of work. That'll conclude my presentation. Do we have any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Shaw. That was very thorough. And I see you have Mr. Rahab and Mr. Spots. Hey, celebrity sighting. How are you, Mr. Spots? Anything else you guys want to add to Mr. Shaw's presentation?
Yes.
Hang on, Dr. Davis. Let me see if the presenters are. No worries. Give me 1 second. Anything else you want to add, or just here for questions?
Just here for questions. And great job, Craig.
Yes, agreed. Okay, thank you, Greg. We'll go with, I think I saw Vice President Villegas' hand up first, Dr. Davis, and then I'll go
No
with
problem.
yours.
Not a problem. I can wait. Yeah, I
If
can
it was
wait.
the other way around.
Mhm.
Okay,
No
Vice President Villegas?
Thank you for the presentation. Really appreciate it, Craig. You did a great job. Quick question, just on the information that you're going to be receiving. You'll be sharing that with our CMO office as well. Just they're interested in this kind of work, so it'd be good just to have a lot of information sharing.
Yes, we'll share this information with anyone that would like to receive it.
Yeah, thank you. And then how often will you be, I guess, doing an evaluation on how effective the coat is in regards to the experience from our neighborhoods?
Well,
is it like just the reduction of degrees, but how will we know that residents are actually feeling a difference?
I can answer that, actually. So one of our earlier goals was to get some projects on the ground so that researchers and universities could measure real urban cooling interventions, because before LA started this in 2017, all the research was computer modeling. There weren't cool pavement installations that researchers could visit. So we have partnerships that we've developed with Berkeley Labs as part of the federal government, with USC and UCLA and Arizona State University. Also, the locations are public, and folks who aren't in direct contact with us can go out and take measurements. So, there's a growing sort of community of science and research around these interventions. We're glad that since 2019, we've been twinning the emerging solution of the cool pavement coatings with a historically proven solution of shade trees, so that we're always bringing these two solutions together. But I think the NASA Jet Propulsion Laboratory partnership is particularly valuable. There was a conference about the terrestrial uses of the International Space Station's thermal camera last month, and NASA's Director of Research used the slide of the image of our project on Stephanie Drive on Winnetka as an example of NASA cooperation with on-the-ground civilian authorities in research. So there's an application in from the researcher we're working with for additional funding so that we could do some plane overflights and other types of sensors, remote sensing beyond just the space station. So I think there's a lot more excitement to come in that front.
Thank you. That's good. I'm glad we're just putting that on for public record right now. And it's just good to be able to share, some of that information, either with the residents that will be impacted, in the future, and just internally with our city family. Thank you. I don't have any more questions. Good to see you, Craig.
Good to see you.
Thank you, Vice President. Dr. Davis?
Yes, good morning, Mr. Superintendent Shaw, by the way. I wanted to ask some basic informational questions in terms of the implementation of the cool pavement. I think we started in the Valley region when we began to first implement this program. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, where are we in terms of South Los Angeles in terms of cool pavement?
Well, that's a very, very good question. In these 8 projects that we completed in this fiscal year, and we were in Pico Union area, we were in CD8 and CD9 and CD14. So we've been on mostly on this side of the hill. So most of those neighborhood councils have been on the, I say this side of the hill, the metro side of the hill, if I'm speaking how we talk.
Mm-hmm. Now, what about the 10th district? And the 10th district, I guess, has a lot of shade trees. Is that what the deal is?
Well, yeah, well, we'll be in the 10th district in Koreatown in this next phase.
Okay. What about Watts area? Now, I know they don't have a lot of shade trees. Is that a part of our plan?
Yeah, we're evaluating all of the various councils and neighborhood councils also. And certainly we hope to have this in every neighborhood in our city at some point.
So currently, it's not a part of our current implementation for this second phase that you know of, but we do hope to potentially look at the Watts area as well.
Absolutely.
To the best of your knowledge.
To the best of my knowledge. And also we're working with, I know there's some other projects that are coming up through the mayor's office, and they are asking for us to evaluate those streets for cooling projects.
And when you say those streets, what streets are we speaking of?
Well, there's some near the Watts Tower and
I see.
It's around there. So we hopefully hope to be in the Watts community very soon.
Okay. So we do know in terms of that area, I mean, there are certain areas where we know that there are not as many trees. So for me, it would seem that that would be a potential area that we would explore, given the fact that they don't have as many trees as, let's say, for example, as the 10th district, where there is perhaps more mature trees in those communities and in some of those neighborhoods. I wanted to ask you about the tree planting that you're doing. Now, this goes along with a strategic plan that we have that when we implement cool pavement on certain areas, that along with that is a plan to also plant trees in those areas where we're doing the cool pavement. Is that correct?
That is
Yes.
correct.
And we're using other funding sources to enable that. The bulk of our tree planting that's done in-house right now is either along the cool pavement streets or the streets that the council designates for the guaranteed tree fee.
I see. So in this tree plan, we have a strategic plan to collaborate with obviously the laying down of the cool pavement as well. And in doing so, are these programs of tree planting implemented by street services particularly, or do we collaborate with other city agencies to do the tree planting?
These particular plantings are performed by city forces, by Urban Forestry Division and Streets LA, but there's lots of other plantings in which Streets LA collaborates with City Plants and City Plants community-based contractors.
Great. So now my final question, Superintendent, is the uniqueness of what we're doing in terms of cool pavement. Are there other municipalities in the area that are doing cool pavement, or other cities that have done it successfully that you know of? What has been the cool pavement practice past what we're doing?
I can answer that. So
Sure.
a really exciting thing is LA and Phoenix are sort of the anchor tenants, the original members of the Global Cool Cities Alliance Cool Roadways Partnership, which now has more than 30 cities as members. And we meet on a quarterly basis to share best practices. LA and Phoenix are the two cities that have done this to scale with millions of square feet out there.
Sure.
And I had the pleasure of visiting Phoenix's projects earlier this spring, so I've been able to see them myself. But then there's about 12 other pilots that are planned among the 30 members of this group. We're also part of the C40 Cities, Cool Cities Network, and we've presented our work there. And we recently were a presenter at a conference in Paris talking about the cool pavement that Paris is doing. So Paris and Athens, and there's a city called Merica in Spain, have all done cool pavement as well. So we're part of this emerging global community developing this possibility for cities.
Wonderful. Thank you all so much for the information, and we look forward to the implementation of cool pavement in various areas of the city, because, you know, my thing is service delivery. So I'm glad we have this innovative technology that is going on, and my goal is to make sure that it's going on everywhere. and in places perhaps where some people may not have imagined that it should be going on. So I'd love to continue to collaborate with you when you come to the board and to continue to ask and explore where we're implementing this cool pavement. So thank you so much for this information.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Well taken, and yes, agreed on everything you just said also. I see Commissioner Reyes' hands up. Commissioner Reyes?
Yeah, I just want to thank you for this project. It's really a thoughtful project that will that our communities will be benefiting. I'm very concerned about urban heat island effect, basically because this city, we're all connected to each other, and there are a lot of vulnerable populations within the city that we really have to consider, have a deeper penetration of where our projects are going. And as Commissioner Davis said, take a look at where those populations are residing, our elderly folks that suffer mostly from exposure to the heat, because there's this whole chain of, urban heat effect. I like the fact that, cost is going down, and the GHG emissions will also go down, and that next time it will no longer be like a sole source. It will be open to competition. I think there are technology solutions out there that we should take advantage of as we expand this program citywide. Everybody deserves to have their cool pavement regardless of their zip code. And I'm always of the belief that those allocation of resources should be equitably distributed. Thank you for your presentation.
Great, thank you again. I don't see any other hands up. Obviously, this is such a great program. We're all very excited about this. We're excited about the negotiation that you guys have been able to conquer. I take it we have volume is what makes us special here, as opposed to probably other cities. But good to know that other cities are really doing it. And thank you to this team for keeping us up at that level as the rest of the nation is moving towards this type of work. So I just wanted to make sure that you knew that it's recognized what you're doing to making sure that the city of LA has a place in cooling the climate as well. I do want to also concur with some of what Dr. Davis said, and please take a look at where you are delivering these. Susana, Commissioner Reyes discussed about senior citizen areas. Dr. Davis talked about, our lower income areas. All those things I want you to put into context when you do plan out your delivery, and also look at elementary schools and places where kids play outside. A lot of the kids, maybe perhaps in a lot of our gardens in the South LA area would be a good idea, since there's a lot of families that walk, through those areas. And so we just want to be mindful when right now we have the opportunity to do that, and we just want to give the direction to you guys as you put a finite tooth on where you're going to put these cool pavements, to take into consideration what we're looking at. And so it's a good time to be able to service the communities that haven't had this type of service before. So I just wanted to make sure that, all of this gets into context as you move along with this very special and cool program you're doing. Just thought I would put that in there. All right. Well, is there a motion on the table, colleagues, to move item number 3 forward and forthwith?
So moved.
Thank you, Dr. Thank you, Vice President Villegas. We have Dr. Campos. We have a first by Dr. Davis and a second by Vice President Villegas to move item number 3 forward and forthwith, so that we can get this going already.
Great. We'll go ahead and start the voting tabulation, and we'll start with you, Madam President.
Aye.
Vice President Villegas.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Davis, aye.
Commissioner Corzan.
Aye.
And Commissioner Reyes.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous.
Great. All right, Mr. Shaw, thank you so much for your report. Appreciate it. Mr. Rahab and Greg, good to see you. Aside from that, thank you all. Have a good rest of the day, and we look forward to hearing all the great work you're going to do out there. All right. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, colleagues. That was a very nice project. Moving on to item number 4 on today's agenda. This is a request from the Bureau of Street Service and Bureau of Engineering in all council districts for a task order solicitation number 52 to Somas and Associates pre-qualified on-call consultant list for street sweeping optimization program. Recommending the board to 1, authorize the director of the Bureau of Street Services and the city engineer of the Bureau of Engineering to issue the task to Somas and Associates from the BOE's pre-qualified on-call wastewater and environmental engineering services consultants list to provide a phased evaluation and implementation strategy for the street sweeping optimization program as stated in task order number 52 with a budget authority of $999,903, including contingency. And we have Mr. Tang here to give us today's presentation. Mr. Tang, good morning.
Good morning, Commissioner and Bureau Representative. My name is Kenneth Tang. I am the acting senior for Street LA Advanced Planning and Asset Management Division. Our division objective is looking at process improvement and technology improvement for the Bureau and incorporate asset management principle to make sure we get optimized life for those assets. And this is one of the very important effort for our Bureau to improve our sweeping operations. And so today we want to come in front to ask for your authorization to award this to SOMAS as part of the BOE pre-qualified on-call list. Just to give a quick background on the projects, the existing route that we have structured are in place since the 70s, and there's have been a lot of changes in the city since then, right? This population density, the tree that have planted during that time have grown, and now we have new development around the city, and the search have shifted. And so with that, in the around 2017, there was an audit performed for our street sweeping program. And one of the major findings that our sweeping is not equitably distributed throughout the city. That full route structure was not equity distributed. And so since then, we also work around various other improvement in our operation as well. We install GPS unit in our sweeper. We work towards more sustainable sweeping operation by deploying electric sweeper, and we also create a notification process to make the our constituent get notice for our sweeping operations, and also we begin to implement our asset management system, which allow operation to collect sweeping operation data to help improve in the future. With that, those are all the pieces that we feel that it's rating ourselves to have a comprehensive street sweeping optimization study. The study itself are break into 3 major phases. But the objective for the study is to ensure that we use a data-driven approach and use a debris-based decision to inform which route should be swept, how frequent those routes need to be swept. And it should allow our operation to be more agile and get more of the city route swept and clean. As I mentioned before, the study will be break into 3 major phases. First phase is just looking at what is existing operations, the logistic around operation, and what is the policy around our sweeping operation. Making sure that we align with the city objective, and make sure we align with other departments, early sanitation, and the clean street initiative, stormwater compliance. And so we want to make sure that objective is established clear. And we want to next establish a cleanliness criteria that allow us to measure and collect data against that, whether that's debris volume, debris weight, what is the composition of the debris, and then part of that phase one is also to look at the possible technology to improve our operation and collection process. And based on those findings, we'll be creating a street sweeping optimizations plan. And in phase two, we will take those that plan and pilot out in a small area in the city, incorporating all the technology, all the process improvement into that smaller area. And phase three is expanded to a bigger range for the city, and also do a lot more outreach to ensure that the community buy off on these process. With that said, the projects will take approximately 2 years, about 12 months in phase one, 6 months in the fall, phase two and phase three. And the budget for this project is around 999 and 903. And so want also to cover a little bit on the selection process. This is part of Bureau Engineering pre-qualified on-call list. And we have been working with BOE through multiple of these pre-qualified bench, and we really happy that this partnership allowing us to reach out to really qualified team to help with our operations. And so part of that process, we posted the task on December 14 on RAMLA, and then we had a pre-proposal meeting in January 11. Just 7 consultant and vendor came to that pre-proposal meeting. And then in February 18, we received one proposal from SOMAS. And in March 2nd, we interviewed SOMAS. And after very careful consideration and making sure that all the criteria we established in the first place were met, we decided to continue and select SOMAS to move forward. In terms of their commitment into our business inclusion program, they exceed in all categories. For MBE, 24.4%, WBE 4.5, SBE 25.7, and EBE 20.4, DVBE 20.4, and OBE 8.5. So in every category, they have exceeded our expectation. And we're excited. This is really one of the biggest modernization initiative in the Bureau, and we excited to move this forward and allow this study to guide our operation improvement and help meet the customer service and the level of service that expected of us. And with that, I will go ahead and open up for any question or concern. And I know that Craig Spot and Craig Shaw also would be able to contribute to this topic as well. They are very passionate and really excited to be part of this process as well.
Thank you, Mr. Tang, for that. I do see Mr. Corson's hands up. I just have one really clarifying question. So SOMAS was the only contractor that submitted a bid?
That's correct. During the pre-proposal meeting, we did see multiple consultant team came to the meeting, but this is a very specialized process. Not everybody out there know sweeping operation and can come in and help optimize it. And we're excited to have very great candidate from this process and meet all our qualification that we set in the first place.
Got it. Okay, I'll probably come back to that. Commissioner Corson?
Thank you. First question, so 24 months, then it's up to Streets LA, the board, city council. Who's it up to authorize a change in any recommended sweeping route changes?
So the route changes will have to go through and recommended through council. Right now we have 3 major route structure. One is the posted route, anyone that have signed out there. The second one is our early AM route, and the final type is the open route. And we know that not all posted route need as much sweeping as it's receiving right now, right? And we know that we need to do some shifting either in frequency or creating new route. Throughout that process, we want to make sure we involve this body and also the elected official, the council, to make sure that they are buy off and approval to a new policy around if they are shifting in route.
Do you know the last time? I know you said these routes have been in place since the 70s, but there has been since then any type of studies done?
So I haven't been in the Bureau long enough to answer that question. Perhaps Craig or Craig can answer that. Are they...
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm the executive sponsor of this study because motor sweeping reports up to me through the maintenance division. You know, there were a few council files where there were attempts to add some posted routes. And sometimes when resources were permitted in the early 2000s, new posted routes were added. But there hasn't been, to our knowledge, a comprehensive study of how much debris is collected in each of the places in the city and matching the bright frequency to that debris. It's kind of a feast or famine situation currently. You either live on a block that has weekly sweeping or you live on a block that has no sweeping. And there has to be more gradations of need than that in the variety of debris conditions that are out there. And part of the study is actually like doing sampling of the actual debris that's collected so that we can build optimized route structure and timing or frequency around the debris that's collected. And that will help us make sure that we're keeping debris out of the storm drains.
Okay. I mean, all of that I'm a fan of and all of that makes sense. What I'm trying to figure out is for a report that we've never actually pursued before, and there seems to be no urgency in it if it's 2 years, what is the criteria to go with an on-call qualified list? And I understand their expertise and all that, but if we are, not opening it up for full bid, I just want some understanding of what our criteria is. And this could just be me being newer here and being a bit naive on how the process works. But I feel for something that is not of a substantial dollar value, has no real urgency, and is something we desperately need, that maybe that it should have been opened up for a full bid process to find newer, possibly newer, service providers who may have the expertise given the newer technologies and the newer ways of collecting information out there. Not that I'm against this idea itself or the report itself. I'm just trying to figure out what is the criteria to go with a pre-qualified list.
Maybe I can answer that a little bit, and Kenneth could add any detail. We see a great urgency in it. It's just a very large scope. There's 67,000 city blocks in the city. There's not more than 900 posted routes. So the size of the data set is tremendous, and the debris data, we don't have great data, and that's part of this effort. So the timeline doesn't indicate a lack of urgency. It indicates a very substantial analytic effort. It's challenging when we want to hire specialized engineering services that we don't usually purchase. And it was our principal engineer, Al Bazi, who has many years at both Bureau of Engineering and Bureau of Streets LA, who developed the contracting strategy for this unique project. It was always going to be quite an interesting journey to find a consultant like this, because these type of projects don't come up very often in major cities.
I would just say I understand that, Mr. Spots, as someone who came from a small business who competed against big banks. I can imagine what it's like to not even just be given the opportunity, but when we were given those specialized opportunities, our small businesses exceeded expectations on terms of delivery and cost for that said client. And I just think that something like this seems like it warranted more a opportunity to be opened up for a full bid. But it's not, again, to say that I'm against the idea or the scope. I just think that this, I'm trying to figure out, and maybe this is a briefing for another time, but for all 5 bureaus, is to figure out what is the criteria to go to an on-call list. And when we say accessing LA, as Commissioner Reyes had brought up last week, and we're trying to open up opportunities to newer businesses and especially smaller businesses to compete in LA, then maybe we lay out exactly when we are inviting them to participate on projects and giving them an opportunity, because I'm sure this is requires a lot of technical experience. But if we don't, on something like this, that if we're not willing to open up the opportunity to smaller engineering firms or other consultants, how do we learn what technical skills are out there? So I'm just throwing it out there. I will see who can, maybe I see Carla's on the line. I can just set aside some time with her to get a full briefing on how the on-call list process works. But thank you.
I'd love to participate in that dialogue. And in fact, you know, Streets LA has a $300+ million portfolio of recent grants that we've been awarded. And we are going to need a variety of specialized design services for those projects. And so this feeds into a larger topic of many future opportunities that are coming.
I just want to chime in on the bench that we selected, the environmental and wastewater pre-qualified on-call list, is the best suited with the element that we and we know that in that industry, in that focus group, there's a lot of understanding of waste and the stormwater and various elements that are most connected to our street sweeping operations. And that's one of the major reasons why we go with this list. And this list also have very long, really qualified team, and they're all encouraged to bring in expertise from various area of sweeping operation, smaller company or whatnot, and partner up and bring them together. And in this case, SOMAS did bring in a couple other major technology that can be incorporated into this project.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Corson. Vice President Villegas, and then Dr. Davis.
Thank you. And I just wanted to maybe give Commissioner Corson a little bit of comfort or just more context. As Greg was mentioning, this is a larger issue that Streets LA has been dealing with for some time. We have two issues here. One of the street sweeping that is needed information or data for us to make improved decision-making for the future, because there's parts of Los Angeles that don't get swept at all. And so it is data that will be collected for us to make better decisions so that all of our streets are more equitably swept, or possibly additional funding for street sweeping. That's one issue. The second one is what's at hand today is we need to use, when I say we, just as a representative of one of our bureaus, Streets LA, as Greg Spots was mentioning, they've received over $300 million in grants. The Bureau doesn't have a as-needed list. It's just part of our, it's part of the process that bureaus follow, and usually Bureau of Engineering is the master of that, okay? Streets LA needs to borrow engineering's list for pre-qualified. And so when Streets LA needed to do this study, they needed to ask engineering for their list. They opened it up to anybody that's on that list. SOMAS answered that. So it is not a full-blown RFP, but it's based on their list. Believe me, we've need to have Streets LA have their own list because they have so much. They have a lot of grants, and they have to also wait a whole process for Bureau of Engineering to approve, and that just delays, and that's where we're at today. It's not a good or bad; it's just where it is right now. And I hope that this information just gives you a little bit more like understanding of where we're at. And they do need a lot more help in order for them to get their own pre-qualified list. I will say that for the record.
Thank you, Vice President Villegas. Correct me, and I like the additional context as well. And I think we lost Dr. Davis. If not, I was.
I'm here. I'm back. I'm back.
You're back. Okay, good.
In the corner somewhere. I don't know.
I know. I can't see you.
This technology is ever evolving.
Okay. Well, wherever you're at, you're free to ask your question.
Well, I just wanted to compliment Commissioner Corson on his comments because I think that they are critically important. Certainly, we understand the value of on-call lists, but at the same time, I think organizationally, we have to look at options because our longer goal and vision is, because we are a multicultural, multinational, multi-talented city, it is to grow and to develop. It is to expand. It's so easy to just throw it at the on-call list and get some work and just throw it at the on-call list. But it is important equally to look at our growth and development. What happens to the new brilliant companies that are not on the on-call list? And when we have an opportunity in which to further develop that we don't routinely do, we should take advantage of it. So I think that Corson is absolutely correct. And I think he challenges our organizations to think outside of the box. And it's really not outside of the box. It's within the context of what we should be looking at, because it's a situation where we have an opportunity to put it through the regular process so that more of the people in our business community can compete for the work. The more we take it and just give it to the on-call list, the less those who are out trying to get in, trying to hone their skills, the less they get an opportunity to do so. And so as big as we are, as many resources as we have, everything needs to be working, not just the on-call list, but opportunities for those who are new, with new talent, new skills, new international flavor that they bring to the table, ought to have an equal opportunity to be as active as the on-call list is. As active as we are making the on-call list, let's make the equal opportunity for others to get in. Let's have that with the same fever that we have been able to successfully implement. And I understand the expertise. We've screened them. I understand it's expeditious and it keeps us going. I understand that. But at the same time, I just thank him for that comment. And I just think, in conclusion, it's something we need to pay attention to.
Thank you, Dr. Davis, for that. And I think I'm gonna ask another question because I wasn't really 100% comfortable, and I'm going back to Commissioner Corson's comment, and I agree with Dr. Davis very much as well. And I understand the need of your Bureau of Street Services putting together a pre-qualified list. That's for Bureau of Street Services. Completely understandable. There's a lot of projects you guys have going on, and you guys are doing a very good job on making sure you're innovative and so forth. But I don't think I heard the answer, and maybe I'm wrong, and maybe you did say it and I missed it. What determined you guys going to a pre-qualified list versus going for a bid, just an open bid? What was the cursor that guided you the other way instead of just opening it up? Given that it's not a rush because it's a 2-year report that we're gonna, 2-year assessment that we're gonna do. So what, I wasn't clear on that answer. Can you guys tell me what the thought process was there?
I don't. So Craig did mention the timing. The 2-year is not because it's not rushed. It's actually due to the scope of the project that it required 2 years. how many street segment out there and data that we need to collect. But we need to collect that as soon as possible to begin making the decision. And correct, you can chime in if I'm wrong, but that is the main focus on us getting through the on-call list as well. And so, is there anything you want to add?
Well, these are fiscal year 21-22 funds. And that fiscal year ends 5 weeks from today. So actually, with a lot of hard work,
it's
taken us all the way till now to get through the pre-qualified list process for a specialized study that doesn't entirely match any of the Bureau of Engineering's lists. If we had done a full open RFP, we'd be in a situation of asking the mayor and council to reappropriate this money next year.
I got it. Okay, that's a very, very clear answer. Thank you, Greg, for that. Commissioner Corson.
Thank you. Just to follow up on that, but we're not giving them the entire $1 million this year, right? It's going to be timed in milestones. So, I mean, realistically, in the next 5 weeks, what could have? I understand what Vice President Villegas was saying about the need for it. I mean, I grew up on a street that got its street swept, but literally the adjacent one did not, and I never understood why. And to this day, I still can't figure out why by looking at the map. But I'm just trying to figure out, as Commissioner Davis had said, these opportunities, it just seems like we could have done an RFP, maybe we couldn't have, and the answer of the funding is it's just for 5 weeks, and even if they start next week, it's for 4 weeks. So it's not the full $1 million funding that they're getting this fiscal year.
Well, there's a deadline to encumber funds of June 5th. If you don't encumber them, you lose them. It's not a capital project, this study, it's in operating funds. And you lose those operating funds if you don't encumber them against the contract by June 5th. So there's no guarantee that you could get it appropriated again for fiscal year 22-23. If it was a capital project, it would be different.
When did we know that this was a project that needed to have been forwarded? When did we know about this?
A year ago this time, when the mayor and council passed last year's budget, we actually asked the council to amend the mayor's budget to remove $1 million from the slurry seal program to fund this effort. And that was an amendment that the council made to the budget. So right about this time last year, we knew that we needed to start doing this.
So having done it last year, would that have put us in a position, Mr. Spots, to maybe have considered the process without having caused an adverse impact on our operation? Or Mr. Tang, do you think if we had moved expeditiously a year ago when we knew about it, that could have been possible to create an opportunity for a process that would have been within compliance with our vision for this work, or what?
Well, we've actually been working on it for 12 months, and our principal engineer, who's not here today at this meeting, Al Bazzi, has been quarterbacking that since the budget passed 12 months ago. So we didn't wait. And Al is really our expert within the Bureau about contracting for engineering services. And, as an executive, I put my trust in him to select the best possible way. We're definitely going to take this feedback very seriously as we look at future contracting opportunities.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Spots.
Thank you for that. Yes, please do so, Mr. Spots, and Tang and everybody here, because just alone in today's agenda, if you have noticed, there's 2 contracts going to SOMAS. And nothing against SOMAS, very happy that they're here and they work in the city of LA and that they are at the level that they are and they can service what we want. But, part of that goes back to Mr. Corson's and Mr. Davis's point where the wealth is not being shared. And SOMAS might be the, really good, they are a really good contract, and I don't know them, but I think there's also an opportunity for others as well. And so when we have the time, like we did on this time, and it seems like a year ago we knew we were going to do this, I think we could have done a better job on rerouting how we were going to deliver this if this was a year ago. I totally understand the need for it now to be where we're at and how we are doing it now because, you know, you have a 5-week encumbrance deadline to do and so forth. I get that. But I think moving forward, we don't want to be in a situation where we had a year to plan and we went the shortest route and where we could have maximized this resource for more folks. So I just want you to see the big picture. Just alone today, we're awarding SOMAS two contracts, and that's just today. So just want to make sure that the wealth keeps on going around. And we're looking at the bigger picture as commissioners, not just Bureau of Street Services, but we're looking at all around, and that includes where the rest of the funding goes. And so sometimes it's sanitation, like today was transportation, Department of Transportation. I'll stop there, and I will ask to see if any commissioner is comfortable moving this forward. But as of right now, I think moving forward, please, Ms. Greg and Kenneth, and whenever, Greg, especially you, that you have more oversight over the Bureau, when we can make it equitable and all around, please, let's try to go that route. And on the second point, on the pre-qualified, which Vice President Villegas brought to our attention today, I think it's something that we need to look into further. And I'm not opposed in making sure that the Bureau of Street Services has your own pre-qualified list. Let's assess all of that situation. And if all commissioners are comfortable with that, we're more than happy to support that as well.
Thank you. Let me just add that, in November, we hired a really terrific Chief Technical Officer, Assistant Director Shirley Lau. And so she came in after we'd already gone this direction. But Shirley can be a really wonderful partner with the board in developing thoughtful and inclusive contracting strategies going forward.
Okay.
Wonderful.
We love Shirley, and I want to make sure, Greg, that you also inherit this type of mind frame as well, Greg.
Yes, I'm really excited about that. And in fact, I'm of the belief that as Streets LA starts to implement these larger, holistic, multi-benefit projects, the projects that, our former director, Adele Hosh-Khalil, started to pursue, we're going to need new types of expertise. Expertise in integrating stormwater and native plants into our projects. And that expertise is going to be found in smaller boutique firms. So I actually believe our work is going to be better.
And we lost him. All right, Tang. Can you pick it up from there, Tang?
Yeah, I cannot be as elaborate as he is, but I think as a bureau, we are working toward that more innovative culture, transforming our operation to a digital twin type of operation that allow us to be more agile and proactive in the way we do everything to meet customer expectations.
Agreed. Okay, so actually, two good things came out of this, Mr. Tang, and please let Greg know when he comes back on. One is the need for you guys to have your own pre-qualified list and what that looks like, and just starting that whole route. I think we're all in a very good support what that will look like, and we'll start exploring that route. And the other great thing that came out of this is that our expressed considerations for you and your department to make sure that the next time we have an opportunity where we can spread the wealth around, let's go that route and not take a shortcut, please. I know this is not a shortcut, this is a 2-year program, but I just want to say that we need to look at the bigger picture, and when we give out our money, we need to be larger and start looking all around. And like you and Greg just said, there might be a good opportunity for smaller businesses to do this because they're new and they're innovative and so forth. So I just want to make sure that we don't get into ourselves again like this without going through that process.
Wonderful. Great.
Again, I'll put it out to the commissioners to see if anybody's comfortable moving this item forward, and to make sure that we do move this on-call program.
Yes. I can support it. Yeah, me too. I'm comfortable too, and I'm really pleased with the conversation we've just had.
Great. Thank you. Agreed. All right. Well, Commissioner Reyes?
Yeah, I would be remiss if I don't say that I do agree with how we're going to be framing this forward. really weigh our options and take a look at the marketplace. Marketplace
Yes.
is changing. There's so many opportunities out there, and as you mentioned, the technology is out there, and it's all about opportunities. Again, make sure that we do look at it with an equitable lens, and that we give those opportunities to most everyone who are capable of doing the work. So thank you for this insightful conversation that we just had.
Agreed.
I'm also supportive of our.
Thank you. I definitely agreed on all of that, and I'm happy that our commissioners will have more conversation around this, Kenneth. But for now, is there a motion on the table to move item 3-4 forward and forthwith?
So move.
Thank you, Vice President Villegas. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Low seconds.
Should we move it off the list before I second it?
I know. So, Ken, your job is to go back to your team and let them know that we were okay moving this one forward, but really, expecting more of a different route moving forward when we can really see the bigger picture on a lot of these on-call lists and these projects we have.
Definitely.
Okay?
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Hando, we're going to put you to the challenge. If you come back one more time like this, we're going to be like, nope. All right. Well, there's a first by Vice President Villegas and a second by Dr. Davis, Dr. Campos, to move item number 4 forward and forthwith.
Yes, we'll start the voting tabulation. We'll start with you, President Garcia.
Aye.
Vice President Villegas.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Davis, aye.
Commissioner Corzan.
Aye.
And Commissioner Reyes.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Thank you.
Great, thank you. All right, Kenneth, thank you for your time, and look forward to keep on going with the conversation, okay?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Have a good rest of the day.
Bye, everyone.
All right, colleagues, moving us on to item number 5 on today's agenda. This is the Bureau of Engineering and the Bureau of Contract Administration for Council Districts 1, 8, and 10. This is a contract award for Ramona, Inc. for the Secondary Sewer Renewal Program D Con 078 H178-E to 1, declare College and Sons LP to be non-responsive as discussed in this report. And 2, declare Ramona Inc., a parent second low bidder, to be the lowest responsible bidder and award Ramona a contract for the Secondary Sewer Renewal Program DCON 078 H17-E project for $3,944,580. And 3, authorize the president or 2 members of the board to execute the contract after approval as to form has been obtained from the city attorney. And we have Mr. Gutierrez, Mr. Arrington, Ms. Wong, and Ms. Fueyas from Bureau Contract Administration here today. And I take that, Mr. Arrington, you'll start us off today?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is again Edward Arrington with the Bureau of Engineering. And the item before you is our Secondary Sewer Renewal Program, DCON 07A project, which will be seeking to renew 17,700 reach feet of our structural deconditioned sewer, which is located near the 10 and 110 freeway. The project is generally bounded by West Pico Boulevard to the north, Jefferson Boulevard to the south, Arlington Avenue to the west, and Hoover Street to the east. The project is within Council Districts 1, 8, and 10. They were briefed on this project and are in support of it, including our peak hour exemption requests that we'll be needing throughout the job. The project has been reviewed for environmental considerations. It was determined to be categorically exempt pursuant to the provisions of California Environmental Quality Act of 1970. The city's estimate for this project is $4,167,877. We did receive 4 bids for this project, of which the lowest bidders are listed in the report. The first apparent low bidder was College and Sons with a bid amount of $3,768,680. The second apparent low bidder was Ramona for $3,944,580. Due to Ramona qualifying under the local business preference program, at the time of bid, the order of bids was revised such that Ramona became the lowest apparent bidder with a calculated amount of $3,629,013.60 for evaluation purposes only, of course. And Coolidge & Sons then became the second lowest apparent bidder with the same bid amount. It should be noted that for the bid documents under section mandatory local business preference program for use in city-funded contracts greater than $150,000, it states in item B that the local business must be listed in LA Bavin as such prior to the bid due date and time in order to participate in the local business preference program. In addition to this, the evaluation was conducted of these bidders for the consideration of the business inclusion program efforts. In that regard, both Coolidge & Sons and Ramona Inc. were evaluated by the Office of Contract Compliance for the Bureau of Contract Administration. Upon review, it was determined that Coolidge & Sons failed their BIP outreach evaluation, which was conducted utilizing the LA Bavin services. And as such, recommendation has been made to deem them not responsive. The contractor has contested this recommendation and submitted a correspondence on February 21st of 2020. The Office of Contract Compliance for the Bureau of Contract Administration has responded to the contractor's inquiry and has indicated specifically the items that were in question for which they were deemed to have failed the evaluation. Since then, no further communications has been received from that particular bidder. Likewise, the outreach efforts for Ramona Inc. were also reviewed. It was determined that Ramona did pass their BIP outreach evaluation, which was conducted again utilizing the LA Bavin services. Furthermore, regarding subcontractor participation for this project, mandatory subcontracting minimum requirement for this project is 25%. The contractor, Coolidge & Sons LP, has pledged a participation of 32.28%, and Ramona Inc. has pledged an MSM of 25.23%. These percentage, of course, are calculated after subtracting fixed cost amounts as indicated in the contract. In addition, the project does incorporate a project labor agreement as indicated in the report. And in regards to funding, there is no impact to the general fund. The total funding for this project is not to exceed $4,141,809. In view of the above findings, staff finds the bid by Ramona Inc. reasonable. As such, it recommends that the board declare Ramona Inc. to be the lowest responsible bidder and award Ramona Inc. the contract for this project in the amount of $3,944,580. With that, I will seek to answer any questions you may have, Commissioners.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Arrington, for that report you just gave. Any questions, Commissioners? Hearing none, is there a motion to move this item forward and forthwith?
So move.
Thank you, Commissioner Reyes. Is there a second?
Second that.
I hear a second for Dr. Davis and Vice President Villegas. Dr. Campos, we have a first on the table and a second by Commissioner Reyes and a second by VP Villegas and Dr. Davis to move item number 5 forward and forthwith.
Yes, we can start the voting tabulation, and we'll start with you, President Garcia.
Aye.
Vice President Villegas.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Davis, aye.
Commissioner Corzan.
Aye.
And Commissioner Reyes.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Arrington, and for all the BCA team for being here. I know you guys were ready to go to answer all the million questions, but it was pretty good. We understood what happened today, and this was a pretty thorough report that Mr. Arrington gave. So thank you for being here anyway, for being prepared to answer our questions. Thank you all, and have a good rest of the day.
Have a great day. Bye.
Thank you.
All right, colleagues, moving right along to item number 6. This is a request from the Bureau of Engineering and the Bureau of Contract Administration for Council District 12 This is a contract award to HYM Engineering Inc., San Fernando Road widening at Balboa Road, Federal Project number CML 5006639, recommending the board to 1, declare GMZ Engineering to be the non-responsive as discussed in this report. 2, declare HYM Engineering Inc., HYM first low bidder to be the lowest responsible bidder and award HYM a contract for this project for $2,228,771. And 3, authorize the president or 2 members of the board to execute the contract after approval as to form has been obtained from the city attorney. And we have here Mr. Arsen, how are you? And Ms. Lam, how are you?
Good morning. Good morning, and thank you for having us. My name is Arsen Loskirchen. I'm the Principal Civil Engineer with the Street Improvement Division of the Bureau of Engineering. And today we have before you a board report to recommend or request authority to award the contract for construction on this project. And I'm joined by Winnie Lam, who is our project manager for this. And so I'm going to pass it over to Winnie to provide the presentation, and I'll be here to answer any questions. Winnie?
Yes. Good afternoon. Thank you, commissioners and Bureau representative, for the opportunity to speak with you. To provide you with some background, the construction contract is a federal project. The funding manager and grant applicant is LADOT. It is the Metro Call for Project 2007. The construction funding is part CMAX federal and then local match. So for this location, the San Fernando Road is to widen the west side of San Fernando Road to provide a southbound right-hand turn onto Balboa Road to reduce traffic queuing and the lengthy delay. Currently, it's missing sidewalk and retaining wall. There are some erosion issue on the hillside. And this improvement includes the bulkhead retaining wall, curb ramp, concrete curb gutter, sidewalk, AC pavement, and traffic signal. But mostly it is civil work. The Council Office 12 fully support this construction project. For the bid review, we received 7 bids. 5 of them listed the total bid amount incorrectly. Staff corrected the amount in accordance with the city procedure, and they notified the contractor. But the correction did not change the order of the bids. As for GMC, they failed to indicate the unit price and item total for the bid item 61 to 85. They also failed to provide the total bid amount in the schedule of working pricing. So in this situation, when more than one item total is left blank and the value of the blank item cannot be calculated, the bid shall be found to be irregular and reject as non-responsive. So with the rest of the 6 bids, based on the range of bids submitted for this project, staff believe HYM's bid is reasonable. The contract may be awarded to HYM, first low bidder, subject to verification of all other bidding requirements. Now, HYM Engineering is also a disadvantaged business enterprise. And compared to the CE estimate, our CE estimate is $2,166,496. Their bid amount is only 2.87% high. And if I go over the requirements, the federal requirement for the disadvantaged business enterprise program, it's according to the U.S. Department of Transportation. The project was advertised with DBE gold of 11.2%. The contractor pledged a DBE commitment of 57.77%, and an OBE participation level of 19.48. So OBE is the other sub is 19.48, and the HYM is the prime, and they are Male Asian Pacific American owned. And moving on to the previous work record for HYM, they are first-time bidder. HYM Engineering Inc. Company has no record of having worked on any previous contract awarded by the Board of Public Works within the last 5 years. The Office of Contract Compliance has checked with various state agencies, and none of these agencies reported any labor compliance problems on file concerning the contractor. The Inspector of Public Works has conducted a first-time bidder investigation of references provided by the contractor and did not find any evidence of violation, statute, regulations, ordinance, or wrongdoing by the contractor. The report was submitted to the board on January 20th, 2022. So in closing, we request that the board to declare GMC Engineering to be non-responsive. Second, to award the construction contract to HYM Engineering so that we can add a dedicated right turn lane and retaining wall at San Fernando Road and Balboa Road next to the hillside to provide a safe path for the motorists. This concludes my report. I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Lam, for that report. Colleagues, any questions on this item? Hearing none. Wow. What's currently on there now? I know you're going to put a retaining wall. How are we keeping it safe now, I guess, for lack of a better question?
Right now, I do see some soil running off. It is it is next to the rail track, so it's a more isolated area. So we are trying to do this erosion control and provide a sidewalk. And just for your record, about a year or two ago, we finished the portion across the street. So BOE has been actively improving this right-hand turn area. So we did a first phase, and this is the second phase.
Okay,
So,
got it.
Mhm.
That's good. Okay, well, I don't see any questions from the colleagues. Is there a motion to move item 6 forward?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Corson. I'll second that motion. So Dr. Campos, there's a first by Commissioner Corson and a second by me to move item number 6 forward and forthwith.
Absolutely. We'll start the voting tabulation. We'll start with you, Madam President.
Aye.
Vice President Villegas.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis. You're on mute, Dr. Davis.
Davis, aye.
Commissioner Corzan
Aye.
and Commissioner Reyes.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Arsen, and thank you, Ms. Lam, for your timely report, and look forward to that project being completed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Goodbye, everyone. Have a good week. Good rest of the week.
Thanks, you too.
Thank you. All right, colleagues, moving on to item number 7. This is an AFE in all council districts, an AFE for food cycle from the Bureau of Sanitation and the Office of Accounting are requesting board approval and execution for an authority expenditure in the amount of $305,900 to provide funding for up to 1 year pilot period starting June 1st, 2022 through May 31st, 2023 to perform food recovery, collection, and delivery services for 40 hours a week. Authorize the president and 2 members of the Board of Public Works to execute this service agreement. I said and, I'm sorry, it's authorize the president or 2 members of the board to execute the service agreement. And we have Ms. Michelle, I want to butcher your last name, and Ms. Romano here from the Bureau of Sanitation. Hey ladies, welcome.
Good morning, President Garcia and Commissioners. I'm Michelle Mikesell with LA Sanitation. I'm here today to request board approval and execution of an authority for expenditure in the amount of $305,900 to provide funding for up to a 1 year period starting on June 1st, 2022 through May 31st, 2023 for a food rescue transportation services pilot project with Food Cycle LA or Food Cycle to perform food recovery collection and delivery services. Los Angeles County has the largest estimated food insecure population in the United States, and children and the elderly are most at risk for food insecurity. Food rescue organizations often don't have the resources necessary to pick up and deliver the abundance of surplus food that's available throughout our city. The Food Rescue Transportation Services pilot project addresses this critical need by allowing multiple nonprofits to access a resource they couldn't afford on their own. It's projected that this project could remove up to an estimated 90,000 pounds, or the equivalent to 60,000 meals per month of surplus food from landfills. Food Cycle LA, Food Cycle, is a nonprofit food service organization that has been recovering food since 2006 and became a nonprofit in 2014, connecting excess food with people in need in the Los Angeles area. In addition to recovering food that would go to waste, they focus on identifying gaps in the existing food system and working to find better ways to address the issues of food waste and hunger. Their mission is to feed people, not landfills, and reduce the environmental impact of food waste. Food Cycle works with edible food generators throughout Los Angeles to ensure surplus food goes to feed the estimated 2 million food insecure people in LA. Food Cycle believes that by collaborating with and supporting community-based nonprofits and sharing resources, they can best help expand access to food in the most underserved communities throughout the city. They are currently recovering more than 70,000 meals per week. LA SAN will provide funding for up to 1 year to perform collection and delivery services 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. Food Cycle will secure 2 delivery vehicles, 2 drivers, and 1 administrative staff to provide logistical support to any nonprofit food rescue organization, feeding site, or pantry that requires transportation for food from a generator like a manufacturer, a grocery store, or a restaurant, to any food rescue organization, feeding site or pantry, or other distribution site. Food Cycle will be responsible for responding to and scheduling the requests of the nonprofit organizations seeking to use this transportation throughout the greater Los Angeles area. Food Cycle will respond equitably to and schedule requests of the nonprofit organizations seeking to employ this transportation throughout the city. Food Cycle will also be tasked with outreach and education program to nonprofit organizations located in LA County to ensure maximized usage. This will include the development of outreach materials that will be approved by LA SAN. Food Cycle will vet all the nonprofit organizations to ensure that they are 501c3 organizations in good standing. This resource is not intended for door-to-door delivery to individuals. Monthly reporting will be required for tracking program success and opportunities for program growth. The funding for this program in the amount of $305,900 is from the Citywide Recycling Trust Fund and will not have an impact on the general fund. LA SAN will report back to the board on the results of the pilot project, including an assessment of metrics and best practices and the feasibility of expanding or continuing this program in the future. Thank you.
My apologies for that. Yes. Thank you for your report, Michelle and Ms. Romana. You're here for any questions, I take it?
Yes.
Romana? Okay, got it. Commissioners, any questions on this item? Yes, Commissioner Reyes.
Of course, this food is near and dear to my heart, as to everybody else, right? And there's a lot of food waste that we generate, especially in the city of Los Angeles, and it has the devastating impact, as you mentioned, on climate change because they end up in the landfill. they decompose, and we have emissions like methane, which is like 28 times more potent than just our CO2 emissions. I love the program. This is no cost to the recipients. Although I know this is a pilot, we have now to start thinking, how are we going to continue it? I'm sure, the outcomes of this pilot will be great. It benefits the city of Los Angeles. It benefits all, people and agencies who generate a lot of food, the restaurants, farmers market, and all that. I see this as one of the many options that we have in terms of our organics comprehensive program. But although this is one part, we have to really also take a look, how do we continue this in the future? So take a look at it right now, see what other funding sources we can get out there. Take a look at, again, the grants that I have been discussing with President Garcia, so that then we can leave those communities. Those communities are going to be expecting more from this program because of the benefits, the multiple benefits that this program will deliver. So my thing is just have that lens and that foresight. We are going to implement this. This is such a beautiful program. Benefits will be there, but how do we continue it? So have that mindset. We're not going to have enough of our funds to continue this, but there's going to be sources of funding out there with other nonprofits and other agencies that really work on food rescue. So I just want to put that out there and start working on looking for more funding right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Reyes. Very well said. Ms. Michelle and Ms. Romano, please, also connect with Commissioner Reyes on a lot of these items that you're doing. Commissioner Reyes is going to lead some of our food task initiatives from the board, and so please make sure that you work along with her and what kind of work together on this. But we are very excited that we're here. We're excited that we're picking up the food task recovery, that we're doing an effort on this, and we haven't made sure that it never died. Because it's an important part of our process, especially now with the organics mandate, for lack of a better word, the organics mandate that just came to our state, and so we want to make sure that we are thorough and thoughtful about what we're doing. But very excited about this program, very excited, and I'm glad Commissioner Reyes is here to really lead on that effort from our side. So please connect with her.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Well, colleagues, any questions or comments on item number 7? Hearing none. Is there a motion to move item number 7 forward?
So moved.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you, Commissioner Reyes. Dr. Campos, there's a first by Dr. Davis and a second by Commissioner Reyes to move item number 7 forward and forthwith.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and start the voting tabulation. We'll start with you, President Garcia.
Aye.
Vice President Villegas.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Davis, aye.
Commissioner Corzan.
Aye.
And Commissioner Reyes.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Michelle and Ms. Romano. And look forward to hearing from you guys and the development of everything you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good rest of the week.
You too.
All right. Moving on along, colleagues, to item number 8. This is in all council districts. This is an AFE for National Association of Clean Water Agencies. The Bureau of Sanitation and the Office of Accounting are requesting board approval and execution of an authority for expenditure in the amount of $85,220 for annual membership fees due. Renewal period is from October 1st, 2021 to September 30th, 2022. And we have Ms. Jones here from the Bureau of Sanitation. Good morning, Ms. Jones. Welcome.
Good morning. I didn't get a chance to test my mic, so I hope you all can hear me. Okay, great. Thank you. So good morning, Board President and Commissioners. My name is Christina Jones, LA Sanitation and Environment. Today, LA San is seeking your approval to pay the National Association of Clean Water Agencies, also known as NACWA, annual membership dues in the amount of $85,220. LA San has cultivated, developed, and maintained a long-standing relationship with NACWA and has seen many benefits. These benefits not only positively impact us as an agency, but they also help the city overall. NACWA provides support through its various committees, working groups, and events, touching on a variety of subjects that reflect national issues and a wide span of services which LA San provides to the citizens of Los Angeles. With that, I know it's a quick presentation, but thank you for your consideration, and I'd be happy to take any questions.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Jones. Commissioner Reyes.
Can you unpack a little bit more what type of benefits we get from this organization?
Sure. So this organization is a national level, so they do a lot of work with our legislators and regulators at the national level. So they kind of bridge that communication for us and give us a lot of good insight as to what is going on in the rest of the country. It's been particularly useful for our biosolids program, which has been somewhat consistently targeted across the country for various reasons. Not our program in particular, I should clarify, I'm sorry. Our program has been pretty well received, but it gives us good information on what's going on with the rest of the country so we can prepare and make sure that we can continue to provide a good source of biosolids recycling in the city. That's a little bit more of a specific example. They do provide a lot of training for our legal folks. So I know some folks from the city attorney's office benefit from some legal training that gets provided by NACWA. They also have some women in water workshops that they do offer to help increase the amount of females in the engineering and water field, also within the executive office field. So they do help provide some training there as well. Those are the things that immediately come to mind, but the list is quite long, and I'd be happy to provide more information, though, if that's requested.
Thank you for the information.
Sure.
Sorry, I was on mute there. Vice President Villegas.
Just really quick, I know I ask this all the time when LA San comes to ask us for any kind of affiliations with groups, and I haven't gotten any, there isn't any like a way that this board of public works to be included in the affiliation. So how can we benefit from this?
Sure. So in the past, General Manager Enrique Zaldivar was on the board of NACWA, representing the LA area. However, since Enrique did leave the city, the position became open to others that were interested in the process. So we were not able to pass along that position, so to speak. So typically, though, that is the way that the city would be involved or incorporated, is through the general manager of our agency. And I guess that would be, I expect, how the Board of Public Works would be involved, if that answers your question.
A little, but for the amount of 85,000, what other benefits is there literature that we can read? Is there like up to date, like best management practices, like on stormwater? What other benefits are there for the $85,000 that we're going to be approving? That's all. My interest is to just find out just a little bit more about the organization, so I can look it up, use it as a resource.
Sure.
That's all.
And actually, that's a very important part I did leave out. I'm sorry. So because we are a member, anybody with the @lacity.org email address can participate and gain access to the online portal and register for events and get if there's no fee. Lately, because of COVID, everything's been virtual. So for the most part, things have been little to no fee. Or for in-person events, it's a reduced cost. And that's because we have a membership as an agency, and it's shared by anybody with that lacity.org email address. So if you yourself or anybody else on this commission would be interested, you can definitely benefit in that way directly. And there is various forms of literature that I have seen. it's more, the information I read more often is on the regulations that are coming out in legislation. So that's what I've seen specifically, but I do know that they do other reporting and documentation, and we get also access to meetings and other events that NACWA is a little bit more privileged in getting access to, like with EPA, and we get invited as members. So there's that option as well.
Thank you. That's super helpful. So can you send me a link, or is it just the National Association that we can access this information?
Sure, I'd be happy to send you some instructions
Or
on
maybe
how to
just to all
access it.
the whole board, if whoever wants to.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
You might want to send that to Dr. Campos, and then he'll make sure that all the board members get that.
Even better.
Yeah. Okay. That thank you, Vice President Villegas, for bringing that point up. We're all, I've heard her ask that question plenty of times throughout the time she's been a commissioner here, and we're just trying to see what, how can we use these memberships we're part of to make better decisions while we execute and design programs. So that's really what's there. My question to you, Ms. Jones, is this the same amount from last year, or this amount went up, or has it remained the same?
I did just review the board of directors meeting notes, and the price did go up by 4% to keep up with cost of living. They did not increase the prices the previous year or the year before that. So this is the first time in a few years that they've increased the prices.
Okay. Well, 4% doesn't sound that much, but let's hope that it's another 4% and another 4%, and now 2 years later we're at 8%. That's a pretty big jump. Okay. Well, thank you for that, Ms. Jones. Appreciate it. Colleagues, is there a motion on the table to move item number 8 forward and forthwith?
So moved.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, VP Villegas. Dr. Campos, there's a first by Dr. Davis and a second by Vice President Villegas to move item number 8 forward and forthwith.
We'll go ahead and start with the voting tabulation. We'll start with you, President Garcia.
Aye.
Vice President Villegas.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Davis, aye.
Commissioner Corzan.
Aye.
And Commissioner Reyes.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Campos. Thank you, Ms. Jones, for your very thorough presentation, and we look forward to seeing you again. Have a good weekend. Bye-bye. All right, colleagues, moving us on to item number 9. This is an administrative item in Council District 1. This is a specification submitted for board adoption and authorization to advertise for the invitation of bids. Council District 1, Los Angeles Neighborhood Initiative, Byzantine, Latino Quarters of Los Angeles Neighborhoods Initiative, Koreatown, Federal Project Number HPLUL-5006-641 and HPLUL-5006-642 with a work order of E907713, E907717, estimate amount of $441,375. Bid receipt date is June 29, 2022. We do not have anybody to present on this item, so is there a second to my motion to move item number 9 forward and forthwith? Thank you. I'm going to take that with Dr. Davis. Dr. Campos, there's a first by me and a second by Dr. Davis to move item number 9 forward and forthwith.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and start the voting tabulation, and we'll start with you, President Garcia.
Aye.
Vice President Villegas.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Davis, aye.
Commissioner Corzan.
Aye.
And Commissioner Reyes.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much for that. And now we're on our oral report section, and this is item number 10. And I believe we are, give me a second. Okay, here we go. Advisement number 1, this is community level contracting from all bureaus. Dr. Campos, you know the presenters, so, we can go in any order.
Absolutely. From the Bureau of Sanitation, we have Nancy Lanton. From the Bureau of Street Services, Melinda Chow. From the Bureau of Engineering, Greg Vandergriff. From the Bureau of Contract Administration, Ian Monte and Linda McGlinchey. And there's nothing to report from the Bureau of Street Lighting.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the very last bureau? There's nothing to report from?
The Bureau of Street Lighting.
Street lighting, got it. Thank you. Sorry for that. There was an interruption.
No worries. I'll go ahead and add the presenters to the spotlight.
And we'll start with sanitation. Then we'll go with street services, Bureau of Engineering, and last BCA. Okay. Ms. Lenton, welcome.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Yes, it's afternoon. For this quarterly report for community level contracting, and my name is Nancy Lanton from LA Sanitation and Environment from the Administration Division. For this quarterly report for community level contracting, I did want to report on LA Sanitation's current and one CLC opportunity. This is for the RFQ, or request for qualifications, for the landscaping and site services. We released this RFQ late last year for these services. This project was to establish 2 on-call lists of contractors for our landscape and site services. So these services are for general landscaping and hardscape services, tree trimming, nursery support, landscape, architectural services, and herbicide and pesticide services are various sanitation locations throughout the city. We were proposing to establish 2 on-call lists of prime contractors. One was for work packages for less than $50,000, and the other list was for prime contractors for packages over $50,000. So we did receive proposals. Proposers submitted our SOQs to either be selected onto one of the lists, so they could not be placed on both lists. So you either got placed on the small list or the large package list. The large package list of prime contractors was subject to the business inclusion program, but the smaller list of contractors, those are projects less than $50,000, that was waived for BIP. So we received proposals, evaluated proposals, and are currently in negotiations with selected proposers. We are preparing draft contracts, and we'll be presenting these to the board within the next few months. The contracts are going to be proposed for a 5-year contract with an annual expenditure of $1.6 million. And then just to continue with our updates for future opportunities for CLC, we are continuing to work with our project managers to unbundle a lot of our larger contracts. One possible contracts that we saw as a potential was our Green Streets projects. Those we're actually looking to see if we can break them down through different geographic regions for potential smaller projects. And some of the factors that we've been looking at are really how many projects are in that geographical location. Are there enough small businesses within that geographical region that can be able to be awarded that type of work? And is the work specialized? And I think from our evaluation of the landscaping services, we've learned a lot about working with CLC contractors, training them and mentoring them and to apply for city contracts. And I think we're looking good. So we're excited to award these first set of contracts, as we believe it's a really great opportunity to work with these smaller contractors who's never had a chance to be primes with the city. And that concludes my update for this quarter.
Thank you, Ms. Lanson. Any questions for the Bureau of Sanitation colleagues? Hearing none. Thank you, Ms. Lanson. Have a good rest of the week.
Well,
great. We'll go with DSS. Ms. Shao. Ms. Shao, I think you're on mute, or there's some kind of audio issue. I think we hear some kind of noise. Ms. Chow, if it's okay, I'm gonna, you want to try your audio now?
It's like she's having problems.
Yeah. Ms. Chow, we're gonna skip over you while you fix your audio, and then we'll come back to you, okay? You still can't hear you. All right, we'll go with Billy, Mr. Vandergriff. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, President Garcia, Commissioners. It's a pleasure to be with you this afternoon. For the our report for community level contracting is for the period from January 1st to March 31st, 2022. There were no contracts issued during that time period. However, our contractors for the solar photovoltaic and energy storage system projects were approved, and we are in the process of also qualifying other contractors for that list. For the upcoming quarter between April 1st and June 30th, we are anticipating the issuance of 4 contracts for our small sidewalk repair program. Those contracts will go to LA Electricom Incorporated for $65,286.82, Access Pacific Incorporated for $86,090.26, Geronimo Concrete Incorporated for $69,648.02, and Coleman Construction Incorporated for $67,159.70. We are in the process of getting approval of those awards. For our community level contracting for our solar photovoltaic and energy storage system projects, we are currently in the process of getting our prioritization of facilities approved by the City Council. We anticipate that happening shortly, before the end of the fiscal year. And the next fiscal year, we anticipate being able to issue several contracts for that. In the process, we expect that the contracts that are, or the contracts for facilities that are less than 30 kW direct current will have a waiver of the business inclusion program, and therefore be therefore appeal to the smaller contractors. And because of the size of the project not being significantly large, that it will also preclude large contractors from bidding on those projects. We feel that by lessening the burden with the bid program for the smaller contractors, it will make those more competitive, make them more competitive for those projects. And that concludes my report at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Vandergriff. Any questions for the Bureau of Engineering? Hearing none. Thank you, Mr. Vandergriff. We'll see you, and thank you for your report.
Thank you. Have a good week.
You too. All right. I'm going to move on to BCA, and then we'll come back with Ms. Chow. She's ready. Okay. Hi, Linda. Good afternoon. I haven't seen you for a while. Good to see you. And Ian, good afternoon. Welcome.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Commissioner.
Linda, if you want to start and I'll take over, or I can go, you let me know.
Actually, I'll let you start with the BCA's contracting opportunities, quick overview, and then I'll wrap things up.
Okay. Well, again, Ian Monte, representing the Bureau of Contract Administration's Office of Contract Compliance, and we are doing our quarterly community level contracting update. And much like Greg Vandergriff from BOE, our period is January 1st through March 31st as well. I always like to give just a little bit of context as it relates to the Bureau of Contract Administration and what our role is with CLC, because we traditionally don't have contracting opportunities that we award. But nonetheless, with the motion that this Board of Public Works adopted on Wednesday, May 19th, BCA was actually instructed to, help the other public works bureaus with, creating implementing strategies, plans, and evaluation methodologies for CLC, which obviously is occurring because you hear sanitation, BOE, and street lighting, once they're able to discuss, talk about their CLC initiatives. So again, that's where we come into this, and we're very much happy to have done that, and very much look forward to continuing this work. Within that time frame that I gave, we actually don't have any CLC contracting opportunities at this time. We're looking at some things down the line, although we're not really sure if they fall within the CLC framework, but we are going to take a look at that to see if they actually do, at which time we can say, hey, we do have an opportunity and this is exactly what it is. Nonetheless, as we're just kind of moving forward, we obviously will continue our work with the other 4 bureaus with their existing and potential CLC opportunities. Some new things we're actually looking to do is as we continue our work with the department contract coordinators, otherwise known as the DCCs, we're going to be providing them more information on CLC as the city council has its own motion that has gone forward there. So understanding that we just want to heighten the education, information, and ultimately participation with the other departments within the city. And so that's something that we're going to be doing with our monthly training courses that's going to occur over the next few months. And then finally, we're just going to continue our work with the Chief Procurement Officer and their team to help them work to include community level contracting opportunities into the RAMP LA system. And these are going to be things that are going to evolve over time. But again, we're very much excited to be doing this work. So I just wanted to thank you for the time, and I'm going to turn it over to Lynn.
Thank you, Ian. Just real quick, I'm excited to say that in our next year's budget, we are getting additional staff that will be helping amongst many initiatives, working towards development of small business and really taking the lead with community level contracting and working with the other bureaus to find and develop opportunities. And to that end, we'll be having staff work on a CLC checklist for all the bureaus to use when they're looking and developing their RFPs, RFBs, RFQs, to really evaluate how a opportunity either is or is not suitable for community level contracting. We want them to be very thoughtful about that, and that's one of the things our new staff will be working on. So, like I said, I'm excited about that, having someone to be able to take that lead and work with the other bureaus. And that really concludes what I wanted to share with you this morning.
Great. Thank you, Linda and Ian, for that very thorough report. I'm really happy to hear that you'll have staff dedicated to having an eye on this community level contracting, especially in your bureau, because you have the foresight of just a lot of all the bureaus as well. So just making sure that there's an eye for that. So thank you for that. Look forward to working with you on that, Linda. Colleagues, any questions for the Bureau of Administration, Contract Administration? Hearing none. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Ian, for your time. We look forward to working with you on this very important piece of projects that we have, community level contract. Have a good weekend. Good week, I should say. Thank you both. All right, Ms. Chow, how are we doing with your audio? We can hear you. Yay. Success. Maybe it's that you're hanging out on that lake and having too much fun. The audio wasn't getting you.
It's weird because it was working in the beginning of the meeting, and then by the time it gets to me, it stopped. So I apologize.
No worries. It's a little fragmented, so we get pieces of you. You might just want to get closer to the mic. That would be, I think, better.
All right, and I'll try to speak a little louder. Hopefully it comes through loud and clear. So Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Melinda Chow, representing the Bureau of Food Services and the Administration Division.
Ms. Chow, I'm going to stop you. I think our colleagues are having a hard time hearing you. Do you mind perhaps putting the mic right next to right next to you?
I'm going to switch to another device. Hang on with me. So sorry. How about now?
Better. Let's see when you start talking. Hopefully it stays on that volume.
So this is Melinda Chow, who's representing the Bureau of Food Services and Nutrition Division. Currently, for this quarterly report, we do have
Ms. Chow, so sorry. It's really, I mean, unless it's just me, commissioners, are you guys having a hard time listening to her? Because I know I can't. Okay, I think we're all agreeing. Linda, Linda joined in the voting section here. You know what we'll do, Ms. Chow? Do you mind sending your report via email then? We really do want to hear it.
the report has actually been posted to the agenda item.
Okay. I'm trying to figure out another way that we can do this.
Yeah, she can send it in writing, and then we will have it documented at least.
Yeah. I know you said that you put it in the transmittals. Can you do me a favor, Ms. Chow? Can you just send it over to Dr. Campos, and he'll make sure we all get it, and it's on the top of our email?
Okay.
Since we weren't able to really get your oral report.
Verbally, but we'll have it in documentation.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry about that, Ms. Chow. Maybe next time.
I'm
sorry.
And she disappeared.
You went. I think you went inside the lake now.
You can hear me better now?
Not really, to be honest.
Okay, this is very weird. I am so sorry.
Not a problem. We'll read it.
Yeah, we'll get it together. You work on your audio issues, and hopefully next time you come to the board, you have it all sorted out. All right, colleagues, I think that brings us to the end of our oral reports. Right, Dr. Campos?
That is correct.
Okay, and I believe that also clears the desk.
That is correct as well.
All right.
Yeah, I have just one little brief memorial. Last Saturday, my secretary, when I was in the state legislature, passed recently, unfortunately. And so her memorial service was Saturday I attended, which was at the Alpha House in Los Angeles. And unfortunately, her daughter passed after that, a month or so. So it was unfortunately a dual celebration of life for both her and her daughter. And I just wanted to adjourn this meeting on behalf of my executive secretary when I was in the state legislature, who lived, both of whom originally lived. Her daughter ended up living in Denver, but she was an employee in the 9th District with CRC, which is one of the agencies that we happen to fund that does work in the 9th District. But I'd like to first adjourn in memory of Teresa McCoy, who served as my executive assistant when I was a member of the state legislature. And she was a wonderful person who was very likable and was really a wonderful person who could cater as well. And she would always bring nice foods and desserts to the office. And so she was very well liked among staff, if not nothing but for that. But no, she was a wonderful person, and I thoroughly enjoyed working with her. Her daughter was an apartment manager in Denver, Colorado, and she passed as well. So her name was Autumn McCoy, who also grew up here in Los Angeles. So I adjourn colleagues and others who are listening to the memory of Teresa McCoy, who was a former executive assistant in the state legislature, and her daughter, Autumn McCoy, who was a part of the real estate community. Thank you so much for this opportunity and time.
Oh, thank you so much for bringing that to our attention, Dr. Davis. It's always sad to hear when, people like that have that work ethic, and not just the work ethic, but that loving work ethic. We miss people and the new generation coming that brought treats and that, really felt that team, the team spirit and the community spirit into a workplace. It's really nice to hear that there were still folks out there, and she'll be sorely missed. I'm very sure of that.
Yes. Thank you.
So with that, we adjourn on today's meeting on the spirit of Tricia McCoy and Adam McCoy. Colleagues, this meeting is officially adjourned for today. Thank you, everyone, and have a good rest of the week.
Thank you.